What's that smell?
Whew, you smell that? Smells kind of like mucoid plaque. But is mucoid plaque real? Let's find out. So in this video, we're going to explore the concept of mucoid plaque. We're going to look at some case studies, look at some definitions, and by the time you get done with this video, you will know whether mucoid plaque is real, if it's not, or if maybe there's a better term that could be used for this phenomenon. I'm Professor Spira, and I've practiced something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System for over 18 years. I've helped thousands and thousands of people eliminate pounds and pounds of waste from their intestines, from their colon, from their gut, things that did not need to be in their body. And today we are going to talk about mucoid plaque, this concept, this phenomenon. But is it real? A lot of medical professionals and doctors say that there is no such thing as mucoid plaque. It's a fiction, it's buffoonery, it's idiocy, you're just making it up. This thing is only made up to help people sell supplements and sell cleanses. Let me tell you a personal story. So when I started practicing the Mucusless diet, way on back, 2002, I was a sophomore at the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, and I lived in the dormitory. And one day, I was preparing my enema, so my routine would be I'd get some lemons from the cafe, and I'd have some distilled water up in my room, and I would juice the lemons, and I would juice the lemons rind and all using my good old-fashioned Jack LaLanne juicer, a little trusty, and prepare my enema. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about lemon juice and distilled water enemas, check out my video on that you can find on the channel, the quintessential video on how to do lemon juice and distilled water enemas. But I would prepare my enema, and I went down to a public bathroom that could lock. Because you're in a dorm, there's not a whole lot of places that you can go for privacy if you want some quality privacy for a bathroom break. But there was one place where I could lock the door. Now, of course, right outside this place was was the game room, so there was like pool tables and that kind of stuff out there. But anyway, so on this fateful day, I had been doing enemas for a couple weeks, and the first few were kind of, they're kind of rough and figuring out what is this all about. But finally, a couple weeks in, I'd been practicing the Mucusless diets. I'd just been eating fruits, mostly fruits and green leafy vegetables, a few other things transitionally. If you want to understand a little bit more about that, check out Mucusless Diet Healing System book. On this one day, I went into the bathroom, locked the door. There was people out there playing pool, in the pool table and stuff. And, and usually every day at some point somebody knocks on the door. And then, I'm in here, as I'm laying down, like, I'm in here. This time, this fateful day, I got the water in, held it for, 5 or 6 minutes. And when I went to release it, I released it, and I felt it was like all this stuff that I didn't know was in there came out all of a sudden. Just all of this, just like felt like pounds of stuff that just kept coming out of me. And I'm like, what is going on? So I then go like, okay, I look in the toilet. Like I always like to inspect the elimination, for science purposes. And so I look down, and I see a toilet bowl filled of black strings, big, thick, rubbery black strings. And I'm like, what on earth is this? Because Arnold Air didn't talk about big black strings. Brother Air didn't warn me about black strings. Had no clue what this was. I'd never heard of the term mucoid plaque. I didn't really know what I was in for. I wasn't ready for that. And the smell came up, and it smelled, if death had a smell, it would be that. This is the most god-awful smell I'd ever had in my life, and it just oozed up. And I was just like, I was just dumbfounded, had no clue what was going on.
What's that smell? What's that smell?
If I could go back in time, all of the various crazy eliminations that I've had over the years, I would have a camera I would have had a camera at every enema session, and I would have took copious pictures because I could dazzle the internet with all of the eliminations that I had. And unfortunately, I wasn't that forward thinking to be able to actually take pictures of all this stuff, because I didn't know at that time, I had no clue that was even coming. I didn't know what that was. And I remember I called Brother Air. I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? All this black slime and sludge and stuff just came out of me in the enema. He's like, yeah, man, that's what it's supposed to do. I mean, he was just so nonchalant about it. And I'm like, kind of like, what is this? I want some answers. What is this stuff, man? It was like slimy. And he's like, that's mucus, man. What? No, but it's like, it wasn't just mucus. It was like ropes of slime, and it was nasty and it smelled terrible. He's like, yeah, man. Talk to you later. I mean, he couldn't care less. It was just another day at the office and I didn't know that at that point. Now for me, you hear case after case after case after case, people eliminate this stuff and do so without the supplements, without the bentonite clays, without all that stuff. That's what I did. I didn't even know about that stuff. I wasn't into herbs, wasn't into bentonite clay. I wasn't into no cleanses. I was into juicing, fasting, lemon juice and distilled water enemas, mucus-free diet. That was it. And all of my most major eliminations came from systematically using those elements. That really kind of changed my life, just seeing that stuff. Like, this is real. These eliminations are real. There's no doctor, there's nobody with any amount of education that could tell me that fetid, smelly, nasty, putrid mess was supposed to be in my body, that my body was benefiting from this black tar-like jelly slime. No one on earth could convince me of that. There's no way that stuff belonged in my body. And I thank the universe for giving me the tools and the inspiration and the information to get that stuff out of me. Because the more of that stuff I got out, the better and better I felt over time. So let's look at a few definitions of mucoid plaque. Let's put some words to this concept, and we can interrogate the concept a little bit and see if it is the best terminology for what we're talking about. Maybe there's something better. First, I want to take a look in my book, Spira Speaks. This is a lifestyle book. It's not a diet book. Spira Speaks, Dialogues and Essays in the Mucusless Diet Healing System. I have a whole section in the back of vocabulary words. And one of those vocabulary words, and this is my definition of mucoid plaque, it's a term used to describe an accumulation of rubbery, rope-like, white, yellowish, or green gel-like mucus film that covers the walls of the gastrointestinal tract. Such plaque is derived from uneliminated mucus and pus-forming foods combined with dead tissues or cells that ferment and putrefy in the digestive tract. Pleasant. So that's my definition. One follow-up to that, I mentioned it in one of the notes of the annotated, revised, and edited Mucusless Diet Healing System. It talks about people eliminating pounds and pounds of fecal matter and waste out of their system, and people sometimes, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and it can be hard for some people to believe that at first. Until you start to detox or eliminate, go down this type of path, you really, really have no clue what lies in wait in your colon and intestines. We do not know. I didn't know that there was that black slime in me. No one told me. I didn't know. All this stuff wasn't on the internet yet, so no one was talking about it like that. Later in the book, Eric will discuss cases where he helped people eliminate a lot more than 10 pounds of fecal matter from the bowels. Also, since the time of Eric, other naturopaths have observed and documented the elimination of pounds of, quote, mucoid plaque, or rubber-like strings of rotting mucus found in the intestines. feces, decades-old feces stones, and other toxemias. So before we go any further, if you would like to eliminate mucus from your body, I have 5 free recipes that can help you loosen and broom out some of this mucus that is in your system. All you got to do, just go down below, click that link, and you'll be able to download 3 PDFs, and one of those PDFs is 5 free recipes. There's also a list of my favorite mucus-free foods, as well as an introduction to the Mucusless diet and menu planning. If you don't have it yet, please don't delay. Go down right now, click that link, get these recipes. So there's a quote by Richard Anderson, who is said to have coined the term mucoid plaque. He says that the intestines can store a vast amount of partially digested putrefying matter, as well as drugs and other toxic chemicals, for decades even. Now, that's something that Professor Arnold Ehret says in the Mucusless Diet Healing System back in 1920. Some intestines, when autopsied, have weighed up to 40 pounds and were distended to a diameter of 12 inches with only a pencil-thin channel through which the feces could move. So imagine that. Imagine a tube, and there's so much obstruction. Like if you had, think of a kitchen pipe, and if for years there was all this grease and all this waste and all this mess that started to build up in that pipe, and you would get to a point where there's so much waste around that pipe, there's only a very small little hole, a pencil length diameter size hole that the water can go through. Think about that with your intestines. If you only have a really small little hole for waste to go through, you're in trouble. You're backing up. You're constipated chronically. And so that's a very good point. So talking about that 40 pounds of waste, that 40 pounds was due to caked layers of encrusted mucus mixed with fecal matter, bizarrely resembling hardened blackish green truck tire rubber or an old piece of dried rawhide. I call this mucoid plaque. This mucoid plaque, when it is removed during an intensive colon cleanse, often shows rope-like twists, striations, overlaps, folds, creases, the shape and texture of the intestinal wall. But why is it that some people, medical professionals and doctors or biochemists and various people in that field, in the formal field there, why is it that they don't think that mucoid plaque exists? So if we go on to our good friend Wikipedia, and their definition is a little bit more biased. In a lot of stuff on Wikipedia you'll find is biased in the direction of medical establishment of the status quo. So you want to use that filter when you're, because they're always trying to overcorrect from the other direction. So they're thinking that people with vested interest in trying to sell these products are always on the lookout, trying to be vigilant, people in the Wikipedia community to stuff it. But when people are unfair and unobjective in the other direction, there's often not a lot of voices that can stand up to that. So this says mucoid plaque, or mucoid cap or rope, is a pseudoscientific term used by some alternative medicine advocates to describe what is claimed to be a combination of harmful mucus-like material and food residue that they say coats the gastrointestinal tract of most people. The term was coined, and he said it was coined by Richard Anderson, a naturopath and entrepreneur who sells a range of products that claim to cleanse the body. Many such colon cleansing products are promoted to the public on websites that have been described as making misleading medical claims. The presence of laxatives, bentonite clay, and fibrous thickening agents in some of these cleansing agents has led to suggestions that the products themselves produce the excreted matter regarded as the plaque. So for me, immediately, that's the worst argument against mucoid plaque, because I didn't use any herbs, no herbs. I didn't use any bentonite clay. I used absolutely no supplements in the first 10, 11, 12 years of me practicing the Mucusless diet. I didn't start experimenting with and investigating and learning about herbology until I'd already practiced the Mucusless Diet Healing System for over 10 years. And the most major eliminations that I ever had on the Mucusless diet was in those first 3 and 4 years of practice. Because once I had that black tar elimination, that didn't happen again. That's finite. That was very, very old, nasty stuff that had been caked on there and had probably been in me since childhood, since I was very young. It's just as uneliminated, had never had the opportunity to leave my body. So it sat up in there and it turned black and fetid and nasty. But that only, once I had that elimination, it didn't happen again. Now I would have various kinds of classic mucoid plaque eliminations over the years. And every once in a while I catch a picture of one. Here's a couple pictures of some things that came out. And, you know, mucoid plaque, then there's the question of, well, what's a tapeworm? What's parasites? What's mucoid plaque? That could be discussed in a whole other video where maybe we could explore parasites and worms and that kind of stuff. But just in terms of mucoid plaque, whether you call it that or not, I tend to find it to be a very useful term. Now, just because some crusty doctor or they didn't come down from on high out of the, the ivory castle of medical ascendancy. They didn't gift us this term, since the term was something created by someone outside of that sphere. They do everything in their power to just, throw it down, belittle it, crush it down, talk mess about it. Practicing physicians have dismissed the concept of mucoid plaque as a hoax and non-credible concept. Pathologist at the University of Texas School of Medicine addressed Anderson's claims directly, saying that he has, quote, seen several thousand intestinal biopsies and have never seen any mucoid plaque. This is a complete fabrication with no anatomical basis. Another pathologist, Edward Friedlander, noted that in his experience, he has never observed anything resembling a toxic bowel settlement, and that some online photographs actually depict what is recognized as a blood clot. Commenting on claims that waste material can adhere to the colon, Douglas Pleskow, a gastroenterologist, stated, "That is an urban legend. In reality, most people clear their GI tract within 3 days." Whoo! Oh, Doug, Mr. Douglas. So most people clear their GI tract in 3 days, within 3 days. All right. In review of websites promoting products that claim to remove mucoid plaque or plaque from the consumer's intestines, Howard Hoscher of New York University wrote that these websites are abundant, quasi-scientific, and unfortunately convincing to a biologically uneducated public. He noted that although such sites are entertaining, they are disturbing, and that they promote a belief that has no basis in physiology. So, and it goes on. But the thing is, it's not balanced, but that's what happens on Wikipedia. You could quote Anderson, you could quote some of the naturopaths and put their words and their findings against the words and the arguments and the findings of the medical professionals, and let people, when they read it, decide. So I read what Anderson said, and that quote could just as easily be there when it's, because they don't even link to that. That should be there when they say that he coined the term. Well, then write that out. What did he say? If he coined the term, then what he wrote should be a part of an article like that. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of those of us that are on this side of things in the natural health advocacy and research and interest. We have to really, we got to step our game up. Because even something like this, we got to start getting on to these public forums and do so objectively. And so we have to work on that, work to bring this information forward in an objective manner so that we can have our voices heard as well. Hey, our voice matters too. Naturopath's voice matters. Now, natural health voices matter. So ladies and gentlemen, you be the judge. The thing is, when they talk about they have no evidence of that you find any of this, when your intestines, when you're constipated up and you got all this uneliminated fecal matter that's sitting there, all of that is going to be in there. All the mucus and any of that stuff is it's all going to be just one thing that they look at and said, oh, well, this just didn't eliminate yet. This person, if they hadn't died, they would have had a bowel movement, and yeah, 3 days later, it all would have moved. But that's just not rational when you start really observing your eliminations in the way that we do. That's why we love that word, elimination. We're always observing, how is this, whatever we're putting in, how's it moving through? And if you learn how to eat broom salads, you learn how to eat fruit, you learn how to do enemas, you learn how to fast properly. When you put all of these things together synergistically, systematically, properly, that's when you start to see these kind of eliminations. When you clear out that pounds of feces that's just sitting in your gut for no reason, you clear that out, it gives your body the opportunity to loosen up and get rid of that older, nastier stuff that's stuck on the walls, that's in there. So I love this. I have to show this colonoscopy video. And you see, look at the walls of this intestine. Look at this black slimy stuff. And this is after doing a harsh purge using laxatives that I'm not a fan of. But when you do a colonoscopy, you use these really harsh laxatives. After that, you see all this slime on the walls. That's not good. Does that look good to you? That black slime on there, does that look like that's supposed to be there? But what happens when you clean it out? And there's different methods to clean it out. We are talking about something that everybody can do. Because I'm not selling you herbs. I'm not selling you bentonite clay. I'm not selling you none of that. This is all stuff that you have access to, information that you have access to, and the resources that you have access to. And so now's the time to take action and start cleaning yourself up. Imagine how much better you'll feel when you have an elimination like I talked about earlier. When you get out that big old thing of black tar that comes out of you, or these things of mucoid plaque. And you can believe whatever you want to believe. You don't have to believe that it exists, and you can just go on with your life and enjoy yourself. Cool. But if you want to transform your physiology, you want to really take control of your own health, then you want to investigate. But the only way to investigate is you got to take action. You got to start doing this. So first and foremost, get you Mucusless Diet Healing System, whether it's this edition or another one. Read it, go through it, take notes, really look at the transition diet lessons, understand the system of it all, and then take action. Right now, today, you could go to the store, go get some fresh fruits and vegetables, come home, make a big salad, and eat that tonight instead of what you would have normally ate. You don't have to wait. You don't have to think about it. Start right now. Clean yourself up. And again, 5 free recipes are yours. If you go down below, click that link, sign up. You'll get the 5 free recipes as well as a few other little bonuses. The menu planning, that's invaluable. Just that, because I haven't really talked a whole lot about the details of that on this channel. And that's an important thing to understand. How do you plan your menus? We give you an introduction to that, all for free. So go down below, hit that link, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to come out. I'm on it. I'm trying to come out here and really hit you guys with some important information and content, as much value as I can. I'm just trying to share, trying to get all this information out here because it can help so many people. We don't have to live the way we've been oriented to live and conditioned We've been conditioned to think that there's things that we can't heal, that it's genetic, or it's the water, it's this, or it's that. Take control, take responsibility for your own health, and understand that it is going to be work. It is hard work. It is discipline involved. There is studying to do, but you can do it. How bad do you want to feel better? How bad do you want to feel better? How would you like to just wake up feeling good? Don't need no coffee. Don't need no alcohol. Don't need no weed. Don't need no pill. Wouldn't you feel free? Wouldn't that feel free? Freedom. Physiological liberation. Physiological liberation, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Get yourself together. That's what it's all about. So I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, peace, love, and breath.